Welcome to Bully Ball, presented by DraftKings. I am Rachel Nichols. As always, Mr. DeMarcus Cousins. Boogie still in Taiwan. Greetings from across the seas here. Good to see you.
Yes, thanks, Rach.
And we are joined by the one, the only, Isaiah Thomas. Woo!
Now, look, not the one and only. You know, there's another one. There's another one. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
You're the only one of you, my friend.
Exactly,
that's really what I mean.
Exactly. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Welcome. We're so happy to have you. And you are coming off such a great, couple months of just, I think there was so much joy around the league to see you back after how hard you had worked and, overcoming so much injury stuff and all the other stuff that comes along with once you fall out of the NBA, how hard it is to get back in. Can you just tell us a little bit what it was like for you, kind of having that finish line after, running that marathon, as you've said for so long?
It was everything. Like, at the end of the day, I just wanted to get my foot back in the door. I just wanted to be where I belong, where I feel like, I deserve to be. So I had to go through some hurdles. I had to, run some laps on this marathon. But at the end of the day, I just stayed down. I believed in myself. Phoenix gave me the opportunity to come in and just, be a part of the culture, be a part of a great organization, and I can't thank them enough. So, I'm happy with, what happened getting back in the NBA, but I still want to showcase that I could be a part of something and still play at a high level as well. So super thankful, appreciative. The hard work definitely has paid off to get back in, but, I want a little more as well.
Yeah, well, I think once you show people, hey, it's not just 1-10 day, they re-signed you, they wanted you with them the whole rest of the way. I have to assume, right, Boog, that's going to make an impression on other teams.
Absolutely. But, outside of that, I don't think this guy gets enough credit for, his story. And, but excuse the part of him, making the NBA and, the legend that he created while being in there. Just the consistency, the grind, obviously the slow grind, which is your motto, your logo. Bro, you're an inspiration to so many around the world. Heart over height, all of those things, bro. Just to continue to fight this fight when it could have been so easy for you to just, hang it up, call it quits, or take your talents to other places because there's so many other places to go play basketball. Mm-hmm. But the consistency with your fight is inspiring to so many people. And obviously it may not just be about basketball. Your story could easily convince the next person that's going through their own personal battles in life. So, I just obviously I want to give you your flowers and your kudos in this moment right now. But man, your story is amazing, and I just don't think you've gotten the real credit that you deserve with the grind that you've really put into this shit. So,
Look, I appreciate you all. I came in with you. I came in
absolutely.
Where, the back was against the wall and you seem to work each and every day. So we grew not only as teammates, but as friends. So I always got to, I always tell people, I always give you your flowers just because you started what's happening now. We know first and foremost who started the big man that could be able to do everything and play like a guard. So that Amen. Doesn't get talked about enough. And that's, Amen. I'm always going to first and foremost give you your flowers on that because we wouldn't see all respect to every big man that's playing right now, but we wouldn't see the Embiids. We wouldn't see the Jokers if it wasn't for DeMarcus Cousins being able to lay the ground for those guys to be able to do the things that they do at a high level. So I appreciate you always giving me the love, but I gotta give you the love back because it's not always given because of not only who you are, but you're one of the best to ever play the game, no matter what, no matter how it ended, no matter what you went through. I seen it first and foremost how, I never seen a big like you before, and I always tell you that though, I'm not just saying it because we on this, it's because it's real, and I'm always, showcase love and respect for you because I seen it day in and day out.
Appreciate you, bro.
I seen how special a motherfucker is. Not to talk like that, but you gotta give you your respect. I'm gonna always do that. So It's all love and respect on my end, and I appreciate you always because you feel like, we ran the same race for so long. Like we got hurt
Hmm.
around the same time. We was fighting to get
Yeah.
back in, and it just felt like we wasn't given the respect that we ultimately deserved as we was fighting for stuff that we shouldn't really have to fight for. So, we'll talk
Absolutely.
about that at a later date, but always give you your
Absolutely.
respect, always give you your love and respect for sure.
I appreciate
I
you, bro,
love
for
it.
sure. Thank you, bro.
I love it.
Always, always.
I wanted to kind of get your insight on Phoenix as well, IT, because you obviously were up close with an organization that is in a pretty big transition moment. I guess, the roster has been the big thing that we've been talking about. Boogie has been saying since October, this team needs a point guard. So, what did you see in terms of that and the way sort of the things played out with that being such a sore spot for them, as the series and as the end of the regular season and playoffs went on?
I think we just tried something that, really hasn't been done before with not having a point guard. And I think it just paid a toll on us, in a series where we played against a young, energetic, physical team that
Mm-hmm.
kind of knew like, okay, we're going to pressure these guys the whole game to see if they can last. Like, and see if guys can really be able to make point guard plays, and not necessarily saying just because I'm on the team we need to play a point guard. Even before, I got on the squad, like from afar looking at the Phoenix Suns, I always felt like when it came to the playoffs, that kind of would be a missing piece because ultimately you just can't play without a point guard. Even if it's you play a point guard 5 to 10 minutes each and every little half, like that's enough. It was taking a toll on a guy like Bradley Beal. It was taking a toll on a guy like, you know, Devin Booker and even Kevin Durant at times because it's just different things you got to do when you're a point guard. Bringing the ball up, getting guys in position. Like, I don't think they were ever, they've done that a lot throughout their career. So, like, when you go
No.
against a team that pressured us full court, that made us bring the ball up and get past half court at 10, at 13, 14 seconds on the shot clock, that's tough for 48 minutes. So I think it just paid a toll on us. Like, those guys did a hell of a job. Coach put those guys in position to do a hell of a job. It was just, we ran into a group that had some really good energy that, a guy like Anthony Edwards really showcased to the world that he's here and he's here to stay. So it was tough, but we didn't match their energy. We didn't match their energy throughout the series, and I think that just paid a toll on us for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Bug's been on it since the beginning of the season that this wasn't going to work when it got to the postseason to structure the team that way. And look, we saw it, and now they're going to have to make some changes to the roster or something. If one of the big guys ends up getting traded, do you have any insight into whether it would be a KD? I can't see Devin Booker getting traded. Bradley Beal has a no trade clause.
Yeah.
It's complicated. They don't have a ton of roster flexibility there. Do you have any thought about what they could or should do going forward?
I don't think they're gonna trade any of them. Like when it
Really?
went well, when we played well and those guys really played well, you
Mm-hmm.
seen what it could look like on a consistent basis. It just was inconsistency at times, but those guys really rock with each other. So I think you just got to figure out who you can put around those guys to complement their personalities, to complement their game, to make things a lot easier for those three guys. And then you move on from there. Because like you said, there's not a lot of options you can go to. So you got to figure out how to make this thing work for the next couple years and how to maximize, you know, their abilities to win a championship. And I think it could happen. I think it's a great organization. It was the first year for a lot of things, figuring things out. And I think you gotta figure out what's best for those three and maximize the opportunity you got for the years down the line. Because you only got probably a 2 to 3 year window in terms of playing at a high level for a guy like Kevin Durant. Not necessarily saying he only got 3 years, but that window is not a 5 year window at all. So
No.
we'll see what changes they make. Hopefully I'm around to be able to, make things easier for
Yeah.
those guys. I'm a definitely, have my 2 cents and try to be around because it's definitely a good group of guys and a great organization to be in for sure.
The 82-game preseason is in the books, and it's finally time for the real season. As we head into the second round, make sure you don't miss out on any of the remaining NBA playoff action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Right now, you can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Even if you lose, you win. From the play-in tournament through the finals, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. So download the DraftKings app now and sign up with our promo code BullyBall. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, well, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun by playing DraftKings Daily Fantasy to win cash prizes. So what are you waiting for? Go and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers, well, you can use our promo code. That is, again, it's BullyBall, and bet just $5 on any wager to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. The promo code BullyBall only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Have you ever wondered if Chet Holmgren might be a descendant of Abraham Lincoln? Or if a UFC fighter could beat an alien in a fight? Well, maybe you haven't, and that's okay. But Shea Serrano and Jason Concepcion from Six Trophies, well, they certainly have. If you're like me and you like to listen to as many good basketball podcasts as you can, after you're done listening to Bully Ball, you gotta listen to Six Trophies. Every week, Shay and Jason serve up the biggest moments from around the NBA with their patented mix of joy, banter, pop culture side quests. They also hand out 6 pop culture themed trophies for 6 basketball related activities. Stuff like the Denzel Washington in Training Day trophy that's given out to a player or team having the best week around the NBA, or the Lauryn Hill You Might Win Some, but You Just Lost One trophy for the team or player that just can't get it together. Plus a bunch more trophies for all the good, bad, or just plain head-scratching moments around the NBA. So follow Bully Ball, but also follow 6 Trophies on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. Or you can listen ad-free by joining Wondery Plus. And look, you mentioned Anthony Edwards and what it was like playing against him. Boog, did you expect the Ant experience to just carry right over to the Denver series from what he was doing against Phoenix the way it did? Because, I mean, he just was phenomenal again in game 1.
Man, I love everything about this kid. The biggest thing that stands out is the fact that he's 22 and his leadership skills are off the charts. Like, I don't feel like that can go unnoticed. And the contagious good energy that he brings to the group, the charisma, the personality, just everything that comes with this kid. I really think this is his coming out moment, and I think this is also where he's letting, the world know, the league know that, I'm taking this league. Like, this is now becoming his league. And I think the opportunity presented itself, and he took full advantage of the opportunity. So he's definitely gained a fan in me. I think he has all the intangibles of carrying this league and continuing to make it a great league. Like I said, the personality, the charisma, the great energy is everything that's needed for this league to move forward. And the kid is shining. So he's living in the moment, and the moment is his right now.
Yeah, IT, what do you think?
Nah, I mean, Boogie said it. Like, his energy is amazing, and he's doing it the right way. Like, he got personality. He knows what this opportunity is. He knows the world is watching. Like Boogie said, his leadership skills are not like a 22-year-old would be. Like, you could tell everybody respects him on the floor. You could tell his coaches got his respect, and he shows respect to his coaches. Like, that was big for what he said after game 1 when they talked about what is Nick Norrie to you guys. He said he's the same as Finchie. Like, he got the same voice as Finchie. We respect him just like he's the head coach. And that goes a long way. Like, one thing I say, like, he's a humble kid, but he knows he's cold. Like, he knows he's really good. Like, he gives his props to everybody else. If you look at his quotes, but he gonna tell you, like, I'm here to kill all y'all. And I think that's an energy like we don't always see. Like, guys shy away from that, and he's taking full advantage of it. Like, I always go off if I pay to see you play. Like, he's one of the guys I'll pay my money to go see play for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's just so natural with it too, right? The leadership side, the way he goes at it on the court, none of it feels fake. It's super authentic. And I think that's what other guys, even on his team, pick up on. I mean, I was watching him with Karl Anthony Towns after one of those games in the series against you guys. And, he's sitting up there giving Karl a hard time on the podium in front of everyone about, I think he just was like, stop fucking fouling. Stop fouling
Yeah.
out. What's happening? And like, that could potentially be pretty touchy. I mean, I just want you to transfer that to some of the dynamics on other teams. Like if someone turned and looked at LeBron, one of the young players up on the podium was like, "Hey, LeBron, stop fucking." I mean, can you imagine the coldness that would descend over the room?
Exactly.
And yet you have
could tell he just has that good energy with him,
right?
to where you can't even be like, "Damn, you're hating on me right now." Nah, he's doing that at all times. You could just tell, and from being in that series and watching him, you could tell everybody rocks with him. Like he lets them talk to him. He lets them he lets others get on him as well. So he's not a guy that's just trying to get on everybody else and thinking he's doing everything right. You can tell he's the leader of that squad, and everybody will run through a wall for him for sure.
Yeah. And look, obviously he was the engine. He was incredible in game one, 43 points, 7 of 29 from the floor. He's averaging nearly 30 a game so far in the postseason. But when I look at that matchup overall, the biggest thing that jumps out isn't Ant, although obviously he jumps off the screen. It's that this was a team built to beat the Denver Nuggets. And, of course it was built by the same guy. I mean, that's what's incredible is you had a guy who was in Denver for, I think, about a decade, somewhere give or take. And then he goes to Minnesota, right? Tim Conley goes to Minnesota and basically builds the team to take down Denver. And I got to give him credit too, because the rest of the league wasn't as on point of, okay, no matter what else we do, it's got to be a team that can take on Nikola Jokic, right? You saw Phoenix adding the positions they've adding, and the big man was kind of almost not an afterthought, but a piece they had to put in later. And all of these big moves around the league over these past couple of seasons haven't been as big man focused as Minnesota was when they led the way with the Gobert trade, which got a ton of criticism at the time, right? I mean, it was a ton to give up for Rudy Gobert. It didn't work out in the first, sort of half season that they had. And it was sort of like, man, this was a colossal flub. This was a failure. And guess what? They figured it out. And with Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid, I mean, Boog, what is that like for a guy like Jokic to face all of that? He came out after the game and said, the only thing I can think of is to get another carbon copy of me because they just keep throwing guys and I don't have another me to throw at them.
It's actually mind-blowing to me that it's taken this long to figure out the formula. Like, the last championship team that did this was the Lakers bubble team. They had three bigs in Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee, and Dwight Howard. And the formula worked. I spoke on this on an earlier episode of how after Denver won, I thought, well, at one point, this was a copycat league. And I thought after Denver won, I just figured most teams would now start to go big. They'll start to respect the big man a lot more since the current champion is a big man-driven team. For some reason, the league is still outdated to this fucking small ball shit. Like it doesn't work anymore. It's outdated and it's old. It does not work. So the fact that we are seeing a three-man big lineup where they can all alternate, they all defend him in different ways, it's different looks, it's gonna be a challenge for Nikola Jokic. So I do think this team is built to beat Denver. I do think Tim Conley understands. He knows what he built in Denver, and he also he knows the strengths that he built in Denver, and he also knows the weaknesses of Denver. He also knows the weaknesses of Nikola Jokic. So he's using that to his advantage, and it's working. So I'll be glad when the rest of the fucking NBA catches up and realizes you can't guard Nikola Jokic with a power forward and a small forward. It does not work.
At all.
Yep.
So,
you guys hit it over the head though. Like he's built a team where at first everybody was down in the Minnesota Timberwolves, but he's built it just for this. And I think the biggest thing I think that made them turn the page is whether it was a conversation or not, they told Anthony Edwards is the head honcho of this group. I think
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns understands he's Robin, and he's fine with
Mm-hmm.
that. Like I think
Yep.
last year they were fighting that. They didn't know who was the head honcho of the crew. And now that it's Anthony Edwards and no question about it, it makes everybody fall in line to what they got to do and what they got to do at a high level. So I think you guys hit it over the head, right? You need bigs to stop a big. Like it's a
Exactly.
no-brainer. Like you got to throw the
Yep.
analytics out the window. You got to turn the computer off and throw them numbers
Get the
out the
nerds
window
out the
and
game.
exactly and have some bigs that can actually guard a big and slow him down just a little bit. And they got the formula, not knowing if they're gonna win the series, but they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
make shit tough for Nikola Jokic for sure.
Well, what do you guys
Absolutely.
think Denver can do? Because obviously dropping the first one at home was not part of the plan. So what do you think they can do so they don't go down 0-2?
Well, I think it starts with Jamal Murray. Obviously, him scoring 16, 17 points in a game isn't going to be enough
Mm-hmm.
to help this team win. We know what Nikola Jokic is going to do. We know we're getting 30 and 10, 28 and 10, whatever the case. We know the numbers that are coming from Nikola. He has to have his Robin at least give us 25 to 30 for it to be a real competitive, matchup. So, and obviously also with KCP. KCP probably has one of the most important matchups on the floor, the toughest assignments on the floor with guarding Anthony Edwards. But we got to have him making shots on the other end as well. So I'm pretty confident in saying I think we'll get a better showing from Jamal Murray next game. But we're gonna need KCP to make some shots as well.
Yeah. I feel you on that too. I think overall, I think Denver will win the series with their championship experience. But if they go down 0-2, that's gonna be tough, especially at home. That's gonna be tough. But like you said, Jamal Murray has to be the 25 to 30 point game because this is what they're gonna do. Well, from me seeing them play against us in the playoffs, Anthony Edwards is gonna pick up full court.
Mm-hmm.
Alexander's gonna pick up full court. Jamal Murray's calf is not 100%. So over 6, 7 games of you having to play, bring the ball up, you got to go against Anthony Edwards every time down. You got to go against the energy and the physicality. Their mindset is like, we're going to wear him down because he's not 100%. So if we can let him have mediocre games and then slow Joker down just a little bit, we got action at winning this because we have enough. But I think Anthony Edwards has to be amazing every game. And obviously he's 22 years old, but in the playoffs, that's tough to continue to do each and every game. So if he has an amazing, turnout every game, he's putting them in a great position to beat the defending champs for sure.
It's going to be interesting, man. I mean, this could end up being the most high quality series of the playoffs. Like, it's just these teams are both so good, and Minnesota's so hot right now, and Denver obviously has shown us who they are. And these West second round matchups are great. In the East, the second round matchups are a little more lopsided. The Knicks are heavily favored in the Indiana series. But Indiana, look, it was a beat up Bucks team and they had some up and down moments, but they've got pace and they've got young players, and the Knicks have fewer bodies, I think, than they have, or at least the way Tibbs plays them. I do have to read off the minutes, guys, for the last game that the Knicks played against the Sixers, game 6. And Nobi, 45 minutes. Hartenstein, 30 minutes. Hartenstein, I should say. Hartenstein, 30 minutes. Brunson, 44 minutes. Josh Hart, 46 minutes. Dante DiVincenzo, 48 minutes.
It's crazy.
And the only real
crazy.
bench player that got run was Robinson, 18 minutes. McBride played 9. That was it. The other guys on the bench who were checked in supposedly 0-0-0. I mean, he's really going basically 6 deep. Oh,
That's Tibbs.
I guess, right? I mean,
at least he's consistent. At least he's consistent with what he does.
You know what you're going to get. I mean, do you guys think that is going to have a long-term effect by the time they get to the second round? Or do you feel like, hey, that unit, they're guys, they know what they're doing. They've been conditioned to play that way the entire season, and they're going to be consistent throughout this series, and fatigue is not a factor? What do you think, IT?
I think fatigue is a factor. Like obviously I believe they can get past the Pacers, but it's not
Okay.
going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. If you can't play more than 7 guys and you're playing those heavy minutes, no matter who you are, it's going to take a toll on you. So I think like they got to be smart with this, especially with the pace that Indiana comes with. Like if Indiana is playing well and hitting shots and their pace doesn't slow down, like that's going to be tough to keep up to playing 48 minutes, playing 45 minutes each and every game. Like, and I think at this point in the season, it's hard to change up and go to your bench. Like guys don't even think they're getting in at this point. So their minds might be already checked out. You know, I'm not in the Knicks locker room, so I don't know, but like being a player, if it's not being talks about you getting in that game, you're already like, oh dang, I'm gonna just cheer my ass off. You know, I'm gonna just stay ready, but it's hard to stay ready when you know guys are playing 45 plus minutes. So I think it's gonna take a toll on them. I'm not saying they're gonna lose the series, but they got to play exceptionally well, especially the guys like Brunson. I mean, especially the guys like Hart, DiVincenzo. Those guys got to play well. Brunson's going to bring his 30 because he get the opportunity and he's really good. But those other guys got to be able to keep up with playing those heavy minutes against different opponents. So we're going to see, but this is a Tibbs team that he's consistent with how he coaches. So every team down the line that he's been on plays these type of minutes. So who knows? They could be ready, but the history repeats itself with a Tibbs team. Like they always seem to die out later in the playoffs. Whether they got a Derrick Rose or they got a Brunson, they always seem to hit a wall. Who knows if they're going to, but it's going to be tough to last like that.
I couldn't agree more. And he actually took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, as big of a fan as I am of this New York team, as happy as I am for them to have the success that they're having with this market, what it does for the league, what it does for the brand, all of those things. When it comes to Tibbs and his teams, has the formula worked yet? And the answer is no. So to expect different results, I mean, that's just foolish thinking. Obviously, Brunson is the star of this team. He's going to produce on a nightly basis. But playing 7 guys, playing them at this rate, like
I mean, he's basically playing 6 guys. Okay, Mitchell Robinson getting 18 minutes is not playing 7 guys on a regular basis to me. I mean, sorry, he's the 6th guy. Robinson's the 6th guy. He's the 6th guy.
Oh, see,
so he's basically playing 6.
Right. So it's going to be very, very hard to find success with this formula. Guys are going to burn out. Guys are human. They're not robots. Like I said, it's like IT said, history repeats itself. Like we haven't seen success with this formula yet. So it would be foolish to think otherwise moving forward, in my opinion. But I am happy with the success of the New York Knicks. I think
for sure, yeah. They got the league jumping for sure.
Exactly. When the Knicks are winning, when the Knicks are successful, the league is successful. It's a fun league.
100%.
It's incredible. But I think
the vibe in that building is insane, and I do think that, by the way, gets you a game in a playoff series. Just the sheer force in a close game of that crowd and that building and all the magic and history that's in there, and then. IT, you were saying that you can tell it's legit in Minnesota or in Oklahoma City. I think we were talking before the show about how these guys play for each other, and you can tell that it's, everyone's crowding around at the interview or all of that. That's what's going on in New York right now. Like the guys in New York are a team, and obviously they have the base of 3 Villanova guys, and so they had a little team that came to become to their team, but they are a team and they want to play those minutes. I mean, what's funny is they do these player polls. I think The Athletic does them, and Tibbs for the whatever year in a row was the coach players would least like to play for. And it's been several years that he's won that honor, quote unquote. And obviously that's because of the way he runs guys into the ground. But the guys on the team right now love playing for him, and they will, go to the mat for Thibodeau. So they found the right guys. They found the Tibbs guys. They found the guys who play well together. That organization is built, I think, so well. I love this time of year because I don't think front offices really get a ton of attention when people are talking about the league and what makes teams successful or not. And guess what? We're seeing the teams with the good front offices. We just talked about Tim Conley in Minnesota and then what he built in Denver. And I think Leon Rose has done a tremendous job in New York with a team that had a crappy front office for, sort of generation after generation, iteration of different guys coming in and out. These are a team of players that play well together, that play well for Tibbs. Not everybody is going to survive in that environment. And he's found the guys, and that front office has found the guys. So I love all of that. I'm curious to see if Indiana can give them a little more of a run than people expect. I mean, what do you guys make of Tyrese Haliburton?
I think Tyrese is an incredible player. And everything we just said about the Knicks, obviously, I think is factual statements. But when it comes to this series, I do have the Knicks winning this series against the Pacers. I just think they're going to outgrit this team all the way through. But as far as Haliburton, I think he's an incredible talent. I think he's a star in this league. I think he's a franchise guy for the Indiana Pacers. But as far as them moving forward, I just don't think there's enough there right now. I think it's something to be talked about with the drop-off after All-Star when it comes to Haliburton's production. I think that's a conversation that has to be had. Why? I mean, I think it's way more besides an ankle injury. Me and IT both know. You can an injury can linger, but with the ankle injury, it's maybe 2 weeks at most that it kind of affects you. He's played all the way through since that injury. So I think there is a conversation to be had about the fall off in production. Like I said, I don't have the exact answer or really don't have an opinion on why the fall off happened. But I think that's something that you do have to pay attention to. It could possibly be where teams are now scouting him in a different way, or teams are actually really, paying attention to the way he plays the game, how he leads the team. And those things can change. So I think moving forward, the Knicks will win this series, and I think this will be a huge offseason for Tyrese with just player development, finding out how to better himself as, the lead guy for this franchise. And obviously moving forward and for this franchise to have the success that they're looking for with him leading the way, he's going to have to be a way more productive guy. It can't be a 17-10 guy. We're looking for more so a 25-10 guy. 25.
It got to be. Yeah, it got to be that for them to be
successful. So I think moving into the offseason, those are the things he needs to work towards, like as far as becoming a better player, a franchise guy, and like I said, moving this franchise in a successful way.
Yeah, you couldn't have said anything better. I like I said, I got the Knicks as well. I think they're just going to be way more physical. They play a little harder. Like, obviously, if Tyrese has exceptional games, I think they'll get one or two. But he has to play, like Boogie said, he got to give you 30 and 12. Like, he got to have those type of games for them to have any type of action at winning this series, because they're kind of two totally different teams. And I think that rubs well on the Knicks more so the Pacers in this series. So we'll see. But one thing I do think, being on the USA team this coming year, this summer, is going to help Tyrese have an exceptional year next year. Because you know how that is. Like, it gives you that confidence. It gives you that, you're one of the top players in the world. So I think that's going to help him having a great year next year and learn how to lead from guys that's done it in the NBA for a long time. Being around those LeBron, being around KD, being around those exceptional guys is only going to make him that much better. So I think next year is going to be a hell of a year.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah. So it's going to be a big jump for him, but I don't think they have enough to beat the Knicks in this series. But he's definitely the guy that leads that group. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I love that idea about Team USA for sure. And he's going to be around Ant Edwards, so he'll get some leadership there too. So,
he'll get some personality too, for sure.
There you go. I want to talk to you guys about Dallas OKC. That's the other series I think is going to be like crazy competitive. Dallas, took care of the Clippers. We'll get to them in a minute, but Kyrie, man, he is doing everything you could ever want him to do. His defense has been exceptional over this first series. He's contributing in the way the Mavs wanted him to when they acquired him. He and Luka legit really like each other. You can just tell in the way they talk to each other, about each other on the court, in the locker room, when I'm around them. That's a real relationship, and that makes a big difference, I think. And then Luka, of course, I mean, he's Luka Doncic. He's, averaging 30 a game, high usage, doing all the things in all the areas he should. And then on the other side, OKC, I mean, we know what a young, talented team they are, and Shea is just continuing to blow stuff up, 27 points per game in the playoffs, and just dominant against the Pelicans. IT, where do you see the series going? What do you think?
I see this going 6 or 7. Like I got Dallas just because of the experience of Kyrie, championship experience. Luka is who he is, but you can't count out OKC. Like, they're well coached. Coach of the year. They got guys, like you said earlier, the guys that you could tell they play for each other and not just with each other. They genuinely like each other, and they remind me of a college team. Like, their energy reminds me of a college team in college sets. Like, they run their shit. They really run their ball movement, player movement. They're really hard to guard, and you could tell they have no ego. They got you never know. Shea might be the MVP this year. Like, they got somebody that special. Exactly. They got somebody that special, and you can see nobody cares about it, like, on their team. Like, everybody's in love with anybody's, success, and that goes a long way. But you can't count out Dallas. Like, they really made the Clippers not look as special as they really are. And you got to tip your hat off to a guy named Kyrie Irving, who was one of the best players to play the game. You got to tip your hat off to Jason Kidd as well. He's putting those guys in position to where you can't guard them. You can't put two guys on each of those guys. So you got to tip your hat off to the coaching, because there's going to be a battle with the coaching as well, not just on the floor with the players, but it's going to be a battle with the coaches, because those are two great coaches with great coaching staffs that put those guys in position to be who they are. So I got Dallas winning this series, but I got it going 6 or 7 games for sure.
What do you think, Bug?
I'm going the complete opposite. I got OKC in this series, and the reason I say that,
okay,
it's not any of the popular names. The guy that I think is going to stand out in this series is Lou Dort. The way he defends, I think, obviously, when it comes to Luka Doncic, like, I don't think there's a human on this earth that can stop this guy. But as far as containing him, as far as making the game a little more difficult, a little harder for him, I think Lou Dort is a guy that can make that happen, that can actually make it a realistic thing. And when I look at these teams, when it comes to Dallas, I see an offensive team, a really, really good offensive team. And when I look at OKC, I look at a really, really good offensive team and also a really, really good defensive team. So for me, it's leaning towards OKC. Like I said, I think Lou Dort is going to be an X factor in this series. I do agree with IT on the fact that it will go to 6 or 7 games. It won't be a easy series for either team, but I just don't see a guy on Dallas being able to contain Shea. I don't see a guy on Dallas being able to contain Jalen Williams. And as far as Lou Dort, I think he can slow down Luka somewhat. So I'm going to go with OKC for this series.
All right. We'll check back in on both of those predictions. Isaiah, it's so funny. I watch Kyrie, and by the way, I'm not saying he's Defensive Player of the Year, but he has ratcheted up his defense considerably. The whole team has, and that's where I think you're right. Jason Kidd gets a lot of credit. Jay Kidd is, to me, one of my favorite people in the league, like just his personality and the way he's chill and runs things. And I think that he has been able to pull the strings there in a way that, again, I think we need to give him more credit for that. But Kyrie in particular, I feel like it's just actual magic what he does around the basket. I mean, he had that shot the other day where he's like falling down on the ground and he throws it up and it goes exactly, I mean, doesn't even bounce. It goes right in the hoop and everything. Just from a guard perspective, can you explain him at all around the hoop and just how great he is and maybe maybe the best ever right in that particular way?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have him down as the best ever when it comes to finishing around the hoop. He has no weaknesses. He has when it comes to the offensive game, the offensive side of things, like if he was 6'6", 6'7", he would look just like Kobe Bryant. Like he has that type of game, and his finishing skill is amazing with either hand, either foot. Like the things he does, you just be shaking your head. Like, oh my, I don't even think he knows that half the shit he's doing. Like when he gets in the paint, I think he's just like, let me figure out what I'm gonna do at that point in time, and then it just happens. So like, and then to not even talk about that, the defensive side of the ball with Kyrie. Ever since James Harden left Brooklyn and he played against James Harden, you could tell he's had an energy against James Harden that, like, I know all your moves. I'm going to pressure you. I'm going to pick you up full court. I'm going to be super physical with you. And I think, like, I watched that as a fan. Like, I watched them two guys go at it. And his intensity on the defensive level has raised everybody's on the team. And, like, you know that, Boogie. Like, when your best player is playing full-out defense and he may not even be known for that, it makes you feel like you got to do that as well. So I think
no choice.
I think that's leadership as well. Like that's championship pedigree. He's showing, okay, if I'm dialing in on this end and I'm not known for this, everybody else got to lock in on this end. So you got to tip your hat off to a guy named Kyrie Irving who's doing exceptional things on offense, but also raising the level of competitiveness on defense as well. And it's that time of year to do that. So I can't say enough good things about Kyrie Irving. He's one of the greats in our league and is going to go down as one of the best guards to ever play this game for sure.
Top 75 as well.
Oh yeah, we know that. You know the peers know that. They just couldn't.
Come on, man.
I guess they just couldn't give him that. We know.
Come on, man.
Motherfucker might be top 50, fam. Like that's how good he is. So
exactly.
The peers know that though. Like he's that good for sure.
Well, look, they'll do a top 100 in 25 years or whatever, and hindsight maybe 2020 on that one. He might make that one, so we'll see. I mean, I asked him. I was talking to him during this Clipper series, and I was asking him about his defensive play and what kind of caused him to ratchet it up. And he was like, well, teams that win championships play really tight defense. I was like, yeah, you were on one of those teams. Obviously, that was a hallmark of that Cavaliers team, and the personal stuff doesn't hurt, as you point out, the James Harden stuff. We've got that coming up in the Knicks series. You've got Jalen Brunson facing the coach that didn't play him in a Game 7 or barely played him in a Game 7 and was part of the decision not to keep him in Dallas. So that shit matters, man. I know that y'all think about that when you take the court against a guy that, did or said something that you don't like. It's all in there.
Yeah, you already know that's it. That's in the back of your head at all times, no matter who you are. At all times.
We had a big change since we last saw each other, Boog. The Lakers did, in fact, dismiss Darvin Ham. We certainly thought that was likely what was coming. They actually dismissed the entire coaching staff, which surprised me only in that Phil Handy, one of the assistants there, has been with LeBron since that Cavs title in 2016 and seemed to be a real favorite among the players. He's just one of those assistant coaches that can kind of relay the message of the rest of the coaching staff, pull guys aside, tell them the truth without it feeling, like an attack or anything. So I'm interested to see where Phil Handy goes. I was a little surprised that he got let go, but maybe, I don't know, we'll see what happens there. Who do you think, Boog, should take over that team? What kind of coach would work there?
At this point, man, just pull a Bill Russell. Make LeBron the head coach and ride off in the fucking sunset. Whatever the fuck happens, happens. We spoke about it a little bit off camera. Any coach that takes this Lakers job, IT said it earlier, it's a hire to fire.
Is that true for Lakers in general? Is that this specific roster or LeBron related? What do you think it's? I mean, they haven't been able to find a real fit on that team at the coaching spot since Phil Jackson left.
I'm telling you, pull a Bill Russell. That's I can't think of another coach. JJ Redick, I've seen his name. It would be a first time situation. So, that's a huge question mark. Kenny Atkinson doesn't really move the needle. What was T. Lue?
I don't think
Why
T.
would you
Lue's going
leave?
anywhere.
Exactly. Why would you leave a job with great security? You have an incredible relationship with the owner. Like, you have
Yeah.
good job security. That's a big thing in this league. So
No, they're
I
about to
just don't see
unload.
him wanting.
No, I was
I
going
don't
to say, I'm
see
going
him
to
wanting
quote
to leave
IT.
that
They're going to back up
situation
the
to go
Brinks
to
truck.
Oh yeah,
another
they about to.
situation.
They are. They're about to back up the Brinks truck
Look,
for
they're
T.
not gonna
Lue.
let T.
He's
Lue. They're not gonna let T. Lue leave. Like
no.
I feel like the only option the Lakers would have if they were to get another coach would be T. Lue because he's familiar with Bron. But like T. Lue knows
Yeah.
you don't go to the finals every year. Like he gonna get fired too. So like it's a hire to get
Yes.
fired job. It's a tough job because Darvin Ham did what he was supposed to do. They made it to the Western Conference Finals. They got eliminated by the defending champions this year. With the roster you have, realistically, what was he going to do? Like, they won 47 games. Like, it's just tough. It's just tough. I don't know what option you're going to next. Who's going to do any that much better with the roster you have? At the end of the day, it's about the players you have in the building each and every day. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
only do so much. I bet Darvin Ham was a really good coach. I bet the players related to him, respected him. Like you can talk to him like he was one of the homies as well. Like that's a big
Absolutely.
thing in the league at this point
Mm-hmm.
in time with these young guys and with a team
Yep.
that has a LeBron James on the team. So I don't really know what direction you go in. Like, do you get JJ Redick, a first time head coach? And then when shit goes bad, what are you gonna do? Let him go as well?
He's fired. We know the answer.
Exactly. So it's a tough job. Like Darvin Ham had to take the job. I feel like it was a lose-lose situation for him. In your first 2 years, you do that. Like any other job, like you probably keeping your job. Like at the end of
Yep.
the day, so it's a tough situation for him. I know he's a good head coach. That coaching staff was really good as well. So I don't know what direction the Lakers go at this point in LeBron's career. So like Boogie said, maybe you got to do something that hasn't been done since a long time ago and name LeBron the head coach. You never know.
Well, look, I mean, my big thing about, fire the coach, which, fan bases, I think, always go to fire the coach. And it's obviously owners go to it too, because it's easier than moving players around. Who are you getting instead? That has to be the question you ask yourself and the answer you have to have before you fire your head coach, because the guy who's in the job right now, at least, has had a couple years experience working with these players, knowing what guys can do, getting used to the job. With a first-time head coach, especially, we saw it happen to Adrian Griffin. And look, you can go back and forth over whether it was fair or not that he got let go, but you talk to people inside that organization, and there were just some basic things that head coaches do that he wasn't doing, whether it was communication with players, whether it was the way the rotations were working, pick and roll stuff, that it was just sort of like, he needed time to get in there, right? And we've seen that with coaches. Mazzulla in Boston got a lot of criticism his first year because he needed to find his way into the job. And Darvin has been in the job now for a couple years, and he clearly had lost at least part of the locker room. Anthony Davis was pretty publicly critical of him several points in the second half of the season. LeBron James hopping up and down on the sideline, upset not getting a challenge from his own bench and stuff. It seemed like maybe they had to make the move because that's what the Stars wanted. But I don't know, man. You had to have an idea of who you're going to get next. And we're all sitting here being like, I don't know. This guy has shortcomings. This guy has shortcomings. I don't know about this guy. Maybe they pull a rabbit out of their hat, or Boogie, your idea goes forward. But I'm kind of amazed to sort of have them make this move without a clear direction of what they're going to do next. And to me, Ty Lue was never a realistic option. The Clippers were never going to let him walk to their main rival across town. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what the Clippers are going to do either, though, guys, because it was another disappointing playoff exit. They're moving into this new arena. They've got Kawhi Leonard locked up, but Paul George did not sign an extension that was put in front of him during the season the way Kawhi did. And I always thought that was very interesting. And now he's got this $48 million player option he can opt into for next season and be fine, but it's most likely he will opt out. And the question is, does he stay in LA where his family is? I know that's really important to him. When Philadelphia comes to drop a bag of money on his door at 12:01 of free agency, when Orlando comes to drop a bag of money on his door at free agency, I don't know. What do you guys think he should do? Book, what would you do?
Well, I don't feel Orlando has a chance at all. Philly is intriguing, obviously
Mm-hmm.
with the foundation they have there. But Paul George being at this stage of his career, he's in the later stages of his career. It's well known he's an LA kid. We know the love that he has for LA and wanting to be in LA. I just don't see him making a move cross country to the east. It just doesn't make sense with, as hard as he worked to get to LA, it doesn't make sense for him to leave it now at this stage of his career. It's obviously a red flag or a flag in general with the fact that he hasn't signed an extension already. Only thing I can think of is, that team across the street may be a threat in some way, shape, or form.
I
That's
don't
the
know,
only
man.
thing
And
that's
first of all, you'd have to clear so much roster space and salary cap space, and then you end up a little bit the way Phoenix struggled a little bit at times this season of being a top heavy team with 3 guys and then not having the depth that we know you need. I mean, that's when you go back to the Denver-Minnesota series. Minnesota's got more depth than Denver. That's part of how they won game 1. Like, you do need depth as opposed to the top-heavy team money-wise. And, LeBron's going to want his new contract this summer. I don't see PG going across the hallway, but I don't know. I mean, to me, the thing with Paul George is, yes, he wants to stay in Los Angeles. He's talked so much about being an LA kid. His mom had a stroke a few years back, and she can come see him play in LA, but she can't really travel. So I know that's really significant. His kids have all their cousins here, like all that stuff. He does not have a title yet, though. And I know how badly he wants one. And the difference with him and Kawhi Leonard is Kawhi Leonard's won multiple times. He's got 2 finals MVPs. If he never wins again, his career not only will be set, but he personally can know that he reached the highest height. And I don't know if with this Clippers team and with Kawhi in the physical condition that he is in this stage of his career, if it's realistic for Paul George to sit here and go, nope, I'm going to stick with it. We are going to win a title. And look, maybe all this posturing is just to get the Clippers to pay him the max, because I don't think the extension was reported as a max. And certainly I think he will command them paying him the max to get him to stay. But I don't know. Is there something appealing, IT, about Philly with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey?
I think it could be, but like Boogie said, like at this point in his career, he probably comfortable in LA. The sunshine is good. That's home. They moving into a new arena. So you gotta separate the Lakers and Clippers stuff. So I think he stays in LA. They try to figure it out. They give it a go because they don't have too many options as well. Like going to Philly would be good, like on paper, but it's like you really want to live in Philly like that? No disrespect to Philly.
What do you mean
That's
no
no
disrespect? That was the
disrespect.
most disrespectful thing I've ever heard.
I mean, living in LA, Philly, like unless you like the cold weather, like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know the city of Philly like that. I'm saying in terms of like you got the decision to be in some good weather, be home. I'm probably not dipping the crib. I'm probably not leaving the crib when it's not a guarantee that I'm gonna win the championship if I go
Right.
there. Like the
Right.
teams are kind of like the same type of team, other than Joel and Kawhi Leonard. Then you got James Harden that could possibly come back. I think he stays with the Clippers. They run it back and see if they can make something happen with trying to be a healthy squad and also
Mm-hmm.
going to Inglewood. Like that's gonna be good energy for whoever's
Yeah.
on that new team to change things up. You will feel like you're going to a new organization or a new city with separating yourself from the Lakers. So I think he stays with the Clippers and they try to run it back and have that window of winning the championship. You never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a team with another, they're an aggressive team. Steve Ballmer's an aggressive owner. They're going to try to make moves this summer. I think Kawhi and obviously PG, if he signs, I think they've got a lot of other roster flexibility, unlike some of these other teams. So I think they can make some adjustments. I think we will see a lot of guys moving around this summer. I think Paul George is kind of the most intriguing guy. But every player I talk to, you guys are the same way, say, oh, he's not going to leave. So I don't know. Maybe we're all media people. We just want
Look,
action. We just want guys.
that's tough. Look. You got to look at it like at this point in your career. Like, is the weather good? Like, does it
Yeah,
feel good on the body? Like, I think that's a big thing when it comes to making decisions. And if you ain't guaranteed no championship, it's like, why move?
I'm gonna take it a step further than that. I mean, why leave one situation that's similar to the next possible? I mean, Kawhi's never really there for the playoffs, and neither is Joel Embiid. I mean, it's not really a situation where the grass is necessarily greener on the other side. So
I would say
stay
that you'd
home.
get a different Joel Embiid if Paul George was there. Because
For sure.
part of the problem with Joel, some of it's been random injuries, but a lot of it too has been just running out of gas in the fourth quarter. Big men, we know that's what happens, especially after you've been in the league for 10 years, that kind of thing. And if a guy like Paul George was there to take some of that pressure off, and it wasn't just all on Tyrese Maxey, which as we saw at the end of this last game, he had some great plays in game 6, but he couldn't be the guy he was in game 5 because it's just too hard, as you've said, IT, to do that back to back to back to back to back. If you had a PG in there, I think the pressure on Joel would be different. I think Joel could get the kind of rest that he needs at the beginning of the fourth quarter, which every time Nick Nurse tried to do that, the Knicks came in and ran up the score. So I think you'd have a different Joel Embiid if Paul was there, whereas Paul being in LA does not give you a different Kawhi Leonard in terms of the injury stuff, but I get it. Y'all are very sure of it, so I'm gonna go with the guys who know. Right there. All right, Boogie, we got to introduce IT to 3 stats. 2 are true, 1 is a lie. This is a segment we do every week. And Isaiah, I got to be honest with you, Boogie and I are not very good at it. I'm just going to put that out there.
So if y'all are good, I might not be good either.
Our producer good, Nate hooks up. He tries to stump us. He usually succeeds. I don't think either of us have a very good track record, but you're going to save us. You are the one. I know it. You're going to do it. So let's see. 2 of these are true. 1 is a lie. Timberwolves lead the league in scoring during the playoffs. That's 1 stat. The Nuggets lead the league in assists per game during the playoffs, and Brunson leads the league in postseason scoring as an individual. So those are 3 stats. 2 of them are true. Which is a lie? IT, I'm going to let you go first.
The lie is Minnesota. The other 2 are true, I think.
Woo, that was very certain, Bug. He had certainty.
Yeah. I just played against the Timberwolves. I don't think they would score like that. Us. I don't like that. Look, that's what I'm going with. The other 2 is true. You picked 2 is true, right?
Yeah.
And 1 is false. Yeah. So I'm gonna go with that.
Okay. All right, Bug, what you got?
I was actually gonna roll with the same answer.
All right.
I mean, obviously, we know how the Nuggets move the basketball, so that could definitely be a factual thing. And Brunson has been on a fucking tear as far as scoring. But I feel like we had this up once before, and I was wrong.
Well, here,
all right, this is what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the same answer. I'm gonna roll with IT's answer.
Here's my question for producer Nate. Are you saying they lead the league in scoring in terms of total points or points per game? Okay, so he's saying points per game. I was going to say that would make it very easy since it was only a 4-game series. I was trying for a loophole, guys. I was trying to outsmart the question. All right. I thought it might be the Nuggets answer. That, to me, is the one that I'm not sure about, but I'm just going to go with the group. I'm going to say Timberwolves too. Producer Nate, are we all wrong or what? What do you got?
Damn!
Ha! I should have gone with my first instinct. Damn it! All right. So the Pacers lead by 3 more assists a game than the Nuggets. Man, I'm influenced too easily by the crowd.
I thought my shit was right. Damn.
Yeah. You had certainty too. You had certainty.
Yeah, I did. I was like, oh, that's easy.
We cheated off the test and all failed.
I love it. Guys, I love the 2 of you together. It's so fun to have the Boogie and IT show revived. It's great. I loved y'all when you were playing together. I love it now. Isaiah, seriously, we're so thrilled to have you joining us more often. And I mean, I can't wait to see what you can do in the league next year. But for
Come on.
now, you're with us. So you guys out there,
Yeah.
you can catch all episodes of Bully Ball on the DraftKings Network. You can catch us on the All the Smoke Productions YouTube channel. You can find us wherever you get your podcast. Rate us, review us, say nice things. We like that. We pay attention in the comments. IT, we'll see you soon. Nice to be back in Seattle. And Boogie, keep tearing it up in Taiwan. IT, he's in his playoffs. So you got any playoff
Oh,
advice for
yeah.
Boogie before we go?
Nah. He already knows what to do.
Yes, sir.
Dominate the motherfuckers and go win it all, baby. Good luck, my
Absolutely.
bro. You already know.
Absolutely. Appreciate you,
All
Brody.
love, killer. Yep.
I love it. All right, guys. See you next week.
All right. Appreciate y'all.
All right.